Okay, welcome. I always start on time, pretty much 99.9% of the time. I think I only missed the schedule, at least an unplanned one, like one time, but usually you can expect me exactly at 8 o'clock. So within the minute, because you have to wait for the button to react when you press on it. Welcome, guys, welcome. And tonight we're going to talk about just kind of a big picture of the issue of identities and how they're trying to catch that from everything we do. Hold on, guys. I just realized the microphone was not next to me. Let me just verify. Yeah, okay. The microphone was far away. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Okay. Didn't that made a mistake. I was like checking on another computer and I lost track. Okay. So let me just tell you the format again because I don't want to hear complaints. The format is I talk for 30 minutes and then we go into Q&A. And if you're not interested in the Q&A, you can stop right here, right at the 30-minute mark, and then you don't have to listen to the rest of it. So don't come telling me that it's too long. It's not long if you're answering Q&A. The live stream is intended for existing subscribers. So it's for people who already know the topic a little bit and they can ask me questions live. This is the only opportunity for me to actually get the feel of what the audience is looking for, get a direct feedback, which is very, very important for what I do here. I want to make sure I know who my audience is. So a lot of, creators will just create a video and they don't exactly know who they are. I got a comment from one video saying that my terminology is so complicated and I'm using big words, big tech words. So if I'm using big tech words, can somebody tell me what those big words are to you so that I can kind of react to it and see what the audience level is? Because it's really hard for me when I'm talking to a certain level, which I expect, of course, a little bit of tech background because this is a tech channel. But some people are saying that I'm using big words when I talk about 5G and LTE plus and, frequencies and MIMO and all that, which is what I'm trying to teach you. So if you want to tell me, during the session, if certain words are beyond what you expect, then I'm more than happy to explain it. Okay, so the topic tonight is about identities, and my last video actually discussed that a little bit because the identity that I was troubled by is the phone number, and I just want to refine this again to get you going on this so you understand where this is coming from. The main problem with the phone number, back in the old days, it wasn't so much of an issue. If you were from the old days and you didn't want your phone number to be listed, all you had to do was call up the phone company and pay an extra couple of bucks and say you don't want to be appearing in the directory. And then they do not put you into the directory, so then no one can do a lookup. And in today's world, that's not even a choice that's offered. That's not offered to you. Your identity is caught up with data that's not even something you can have influence over, and that data is primarily culled from the contact list. And many people don't even understand the implications of that. The biggest source of privacy dangers, which affects all of our choices, even when it comes to two-factor authentication, giving phone numbers to Facebook and so on, is tied to the contact list. So every platform has a bunch of dummy users, your friends, your family. Maybe back in the old days, some of you uploaded your Zucking contact list to Facebook, to Google, to Apple, to Microsoft, to LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably the biggest one. So you uploaded your contact list, and the promise was that they would invite your friends over to the app, and on Facebook they would recommend your friends based on your contact list. Now, if you're like most people who are not smart and just uploaded a contact list, what you've actually given them is quite a bit of information. I don't know if you've ever done any programming importing a contact list. It's pretty easy to do. But goodness, guys, when you import a contact list, you get whatever the user entered, not what you think the real data is, but whatever the user entered. So in many cases, the user that's uploading it will put your real name, your full name, your name, address, your phone number, all the phone numbers, and where you work and all that is in the contact list. So when they upload it, guess what happens to that contact list? The contact list then is now within access of Facebook. Facebook was probably the first one to do this, and LinkedIn. The two biggest players with uploading contact lists were Facebook and LinkedIn. And you can see the danger of that, because now any time that they want to correlate individuals, all they have to do is compare contact lists. And from the contact list, they can see who your friends are, who you're connected to, who you're related to, and then they say, well, we'll recommend you as a friend based on contact lists, which sounds so benign, but it's not benign, because once they know your relationships with everyone else, they have a quite a bit of a way to find out what group you belong to. So they will know, for example, if you're conservative or liberal just based on the groups you're hanging out with, and what their comments are on Facebook. So they can actually see, okay, based on all your contacts, who's of this political belief and that, just from what you're posting on Facebook and what you're hitting like on. And they're connecting this to your contacts, and they're actually creating a little map of this, and it's crazy. Now, so that alone is such an identifier. And once somebody has that contact list, you cannot hide your phone number. The main phone number. You can't hide your main email, because now that's known to Facebook. So anytime they encounter that anywhere on the internet, they actually know, oh, I know who you are. You're a friend to John Smith over there. I know, because you're in the contact list. And I don't know why privacy people do not talk about this. It's amazing. You see all these channels talk about security. They talk about cybersecurity and they talk about all this. They never actually tell you that the biggest danger is just from connecting each other with a contact list. I don't need to know your name. I just need to know the connection with a contact list, just by saying, oh, you have the same exact contact list as person B, therefore you're the same person. I don't even know who you are. If I know that person B has the exact same contact list, you must be B. That is such a big identifier. So one of the main identifiers is then the contact list. The contact list, of course, has indexes to it, which then connect you indirectly, and those are the phone number, the email address, the name, and sometimes the address, depending on what they put on there. Now, let me just talk about this in general, because the problem is, in today's world, people are always trying to, not people, big tech is always trying to connect an identity to each and every one of you. The issue is not really about security. This is just the biggest flaw that I've ever heard of. It's really not about, are you encrypting your traffic and all that. That's not as meaningful as saying who's connected to who, because then from there I can profile you. I can know what group you belong to. I can know what you're thinking, which is really the point. They want to know what you're thinking. So they create identifiers to match you. Now, I'll give you an example of somebody trying to do a matching. Let's say you're on Twitter. Now, Twitter will match you by, obviously, the IP address and your email address and phone number used for 2FA and your name. Now, why is that important? You see, once they do some kind of matching, they can do what is called a browser fingerprint. So now they can connect several users with fake IDs on a platform like Twitter, and say, oh, you're creating fake accounts because I can see you're all connected. I browser fingerprint you, and I can see that they're all the same user creating 10 million accounts, and you're being fake. And they know this, or either that or Twitter is incompetent. It may be that. Maybe they're incompetent. But, it's very easy to derive who's who and who's doing trolly things by checking out their identity. And the identity is the fixed identity that they can derive from the device. Now, here's the problem, folks. Here's the problem. It's actually hard to get a fixed identity from a computer. The identities we can drive for the computer are kind of like, I would say, uh, temporary. Okay, they're not there's no way to get really a permanent identifier, because the most of the ways that you interact with internet platforms is through a browser, and browsers don't reveal the kind of information that would allow you to do what is called device fingerprinting. They can't really do that. The way that they will do a profiling of a computer is indirectly by saying, we've seen you before using this browser, but using browser isolation, of course, and techniques that I've taught you. They can't really do that. And the moment you reset your cookies and change time zones, change a few things on the display, change your resolution, you're a different computer. That's one of the ways you beat that. You just change time zone. I mean, time zone alone is enough to do it. You just change time zone resolution, and suddenly you're a different user. They can't really match it. They can't really match it. So computers are inherently safer. And one of the reasons computers are inherently safer is because computers do not have sensors. There are two reasons why a computer is safer. The computer does not have sensors, and two, the computer does not have or does not reveal the device fingerprint on a browser. Now, it can reveal the device fingerprint to the OS, meaning Windows. Yes, it can do that. And a Mac and Windows can reveal the device fingerprint. But generally, a third party, like an app, cannot know the device fingerprint. It cannot do that on a computer, which is why I would recommend a computer. I don't even care what computer you want to use. If it's a computer, it will inherently be safer until you connect it to the phone. That's a problem with like a Mac. You connect to the phone, and suddenly the phone identity is your computer identity. So there's the big issue here. The big issue is really this. The identities, mostly that you cannot beat, come from the phone. Now, I realize that the IP address is one of the biggest causes of identity theft or identity recognition. It's the IP address. And a lot of you are using VPNs now. And because of VPNs, the opposition is realizing that they're kind of losing out on this battle. Do you know that even Google offers VPNs? So Google, pays a lot of attention to IP addresses. You can go into the history of your logins on Google, and you can see they actually track this device with this user agent, meaning the device identifier, logged in to Chrome or to Google from this address at this timestamp and this location. They show you that. And if that doesn't bother you, I don't know what will. I mean, that's really, really bothersome. But of course, if you use a VPN, their information is false, which is good. But sometimes you make a mistake. You go to Google and you forget to log into your VPN, and they get a sniff of your real IP address, which is really, really bothersome. But the main issue really is the device fingerprint on the phone. So whether we like it or not, the phone will identify you. Now, why is this identification such a big deal? Because big tech is not intent on just serving you whatever you want. They're not there to please you. Especially once they become a successful platform, their goal is not to please you. Their goal is twofold. One is to make money, obviously. And second, their next objective is whatever their social objectives are. And let's not, some of you are liberal, some of you are conservative. I don't have a problem with that. You can be whatever you want. However, let's face facts. A platform is not like Google and Facebook. I mean, they're not unbiased. They have a very, very strong bias. We know that, platforms like Google, New York Times, Facebook, and so on, they're very liberal. So this is not hidden. I mean, there's a book on Google Leaks. You can read that book on Google Leaks. And clearly, even, with employee meetings, it's clear that if you're not following the trend at Google, meaning you're not of the same political belief, you're going to stand out, because the majority of people at a Google and Facebook are from one side, one political side. Now, that in itself is not the issue. The issue is that they decided, I'm talking about these platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and so on. They've decided that they want to control people's thoughts. They actually want to convince you that you're wrong, that if you don't believe their side, they're not really interested in learning why your point of view may be different from theirs. They're not really interested in that. This is very clear if you read that book, Google Leaks. They're not interested to know why you believe something different. Now, I'm actually different. I know that some of you believe something on the left, some on the right, and I want to understand why you believe that, and I often find that there's good reason for people to believe one thing or the other, often because of the way they were brought up, their life experience, and so on. Google and Facebook don't think like that, because they're a big power. They know they have power, and they decide that the leaders of those institutions, Zuck, Sergey Brin and Larry Page, and these guys, they know they have influence, and they actually want to be an activist. They want to control you. So the only way they can control you is to know who you are. So if they know who you are, and you may not realize this, but if they know who you are, they actually change what you see. And this is already clear when you deal with Google. Google actually changes the search results. I've told you this in other videos. And people don't understand this, that they can actually control that. In the case of Twitter, they will shadow ban you. They will do things of that nature because they don't want your opinion. They will minimize your visibility. They will shadow ban. They will ban you, whatever, if they think that your belief is not the same. And some of this is obviously very politically motivated. And because of that, certain truths are not allowed to come out at the time because they might influence an election. Then they allow them to come out after the election because it doesn't bother them anymore. And it's the craziness of this kind of control that really bugs me, because why not let people vote in a fair way and people can decide whatever they want to do? And I'm great with that. Whatever the people choose, at least the majority have made a choice rather than being manipulated by some other party. That, my friends, is the main problem when you allow an identity to be derived from your device, from your computer, from your actions on the internet. Once an identity is derived from a contact list, from a phone number, from an IP address, and so on, they now have the ability to manipulate you. They have the ability then to control whatever you will see, whatever you interact with. And some of you are like giving me opinions here that clearly tell me that you haven't even seen the news. Obviously Google was enjoying hiding the news from you because you're like saying things that are obviously not true. Things that I can observe in real life are not true, and you're going to say, oh yeah, this happened or that happened, and I'm here and I can see it in real life, and I know what you're saying is not true. And yet we accept this, all because we have no idea that our identities are being derived. This is why it's very, very important not to reveal your identity. You got to fight tooth and nail to not let big tech know your identity. Now, what if a small company, selling a store, selling cookies, gets your identity? I guess it doesn't really matter. It's really not an issue for any small group of people. The issue is really about big tech. It's because they are intent on manipulating you. So any big party that wants to get large amounts of data obviously have a purpose, because they have large contact lists. They can find you. They can find you easily through a contact list. A small company doesn't have that ability. So don't be like paranoid about every single time that some identity gets captured. It may not matter on a small site or whatever. It doesn't make any difference. But on a big site there is. For example, I'll give you an example of a concern that most of you don't even realize, and that is the login. So many sites now accept a Facebook login or a Google login. I hope against hope here, but I do hope that most of you, or I hope all of you do not do that. I hope you do not use a Facebook login or a Google login on any other site aside from Google and Facebook. Why do you think that matters? Because now you have an identity on a foreign site captured by Google and Facebook. When you log into some other player, that is now logged in at Facebook and Google. They know you logged in to LinkedIn using a Google account. So now they know your Google account. Every time you do anything there, they know. Now they can put that in a cookie, and then everything that you do on the internet will then be tracked because Google Analytics is watching there, and the Facebook like button is watching in the background. So pretty crazy. So you don't let them. You do not. Amazon doesn't have this this kind of reach. Amazon is just Amazon. Fortunately, Amazon. I guess they have Amazon Pay. I don't think that's I don't think that's as intense as what I'm talking about here with login by Google, and now, of course, now Apple login, PayPal login. Apple login, Google login, and Facebook login. That's nothing to do with PayPal. PayPal's with payments. So the purpose of those logins is to track you outside of their platform. So why would you do that? Because most people are so zucking lazy, they can't even put their own passwords as different and say, well, we're going to just log in by Facebook and Google. And of course, Facebook and Google will then justify and say, hey, you can't, we got to know it's really you because we're not sure it's you. You got to give us your phone number. We got to do a device fingerprint. Sometimes we're going to ask for your ID. We're going to ask for your driver's license. We're going to ask for a credit card, something to prove your age. It just goes on and on and on. And you're stuck. You're stuck because you're logged into so many platforms. You become dependent on sucking Apple and Google and Facebook. And because they're your login. And so oh my gosh, I guess they're going to discontinue my account because I didn't give them a phone number. So anyway, that's the reason I did that video on the phone number. I really have been playing games with Google since forever, never giving them a real phone number since forever. And I've managed to escape giving them a real phone number until now. Now they gave me a deadline that says November 1, they got to get a real phone number. So I zucking gave them a real phone number, but it's not going to match their contact list because no one knows that number. So zuck you, Google. Nobody has that number. So that's the way I have to fight back. I know that my contact list know my phone number. I know when I go to Signal and I log into Signal, my brother sees that I joined Signal because he's on Signal and says, oh, you're in Signal, hello. Oh, you're in Telegram, because they identify with a zucking phone number. But that phone number is accessible to all of these platforms. Telegram has access to your contact list. And of course, Facebook, Google, everyone else has a contact list. And this is a private directory. They don't even need to contact the carrier. They don't need to do that. All they have to do is look at their zucking contact list and compare and say, oh yeah, we have phone number. Oh, your phone number changed. Oh, it's on the contact list. We know. We know because the contact list was updated and that phone number was updated. Zuck. And you know how I know this? Because I myself, at the initial version of Braxme, my app, I actually collected the contact list. I actually collected the contact list because the idea was to be successful in social media, you pump that with email to all of the other players so they join your platform by telling them that your friends are on the same platform. And that's what's been being used to do this. So theoretically then that would have been a marketing decision for many of these apps to do that. When I saw what was being collected, I decided that this is not for Braxme. I deleted all the contacts I collected and I created a new version that did not collect any contact list, because it's amazing what you get from a contact list. It's amazing. Like I said, you can have two different names on two different accounts, but if your contact list is identical, that's you. We'll know who you are. It's amazing what you can derive from a contact list. It's basically an identifier. It's an amazing identifier. So anyway, do not use Facebook. Don't ask me about sock puppets for Facebook. Why are you on Facebook? If you're on Facebook, they're tracking you. There's a device fingerprint. You create sock puppets, and they know who you are because they have your zucking device fingerprint, and then they're gonna go feed you fake stuff, and then report you, and then terminate your account. So I had a bunch of accounts on Facebook, not real because I'm not on Facebook, but just fake accounts that I use for testing and just sneaking up on Facebook and using it basically for spying. And then they asked me for a phone number. That was it. I said, "Zuck you, Facebook. I'm not going to give you a phone number." So terminate the account. I don't really care. So the accounts had no information on it, no contacts, no friends, nothing. And I was only using it for testing, and they wanted the phone number, and then they wouldn't, let me access the account without a phone number. And I said, "Zuck you." So zuck you, zuck. So that's the thing, guys, is you need to make a choice that, it's not acceptable. So Google have managed to escape most different platforms. I've been giving them the Google Voice number, and so far that's worked for just about everyone else. Of course, Google isn't going to take Google Voice, so now I'm zucked. So now I have to spend an extra, $10 a month to come up with an extra number that I don't use. Actually, I can terminate the number now. I don't need the number anymore because I'm getting notifications on my Googled phone. So the notifications are kind of like a hardware key because it has a device fingerprint. So anyway, guard your identity, folks, because from your identity, they derive everything you do on the internet. And where's your identity derived? Your email address, your phone number, your IP address, and your real name, obviously. Those forgetting the name, because that's obvious, but the identifiers are your email address, your phone number, and your IP address. So you guard those. I've given you techniques of how to guard those. You need multiple phones or multiple phone numbers, at least two. And then if you're in the US, you can use Google Voice and have at least more than two. And then you need a VPN or Tor to hide that, or use LTE. If you say you don't want to use a VPN, fine, but use LTE, meaning phone data plan, because the IP address will change. That's what you want, a changing IP address. And then next is your email address. Now we'll talk about email address in a second here. So I will talk about email now. How many phones is ideal? Probably two. So in my case, I have two. The second one is off. The only time I need to turn it on is for two-factor authentication. So it's off. It doesn't actually need the phone service. Now that I think about it, it doesn't need the phone service, because if I'm going to get notifications, I can spend the money on the phone number once, give it to Google, and then terminate the phone number. And Google doesn't need the phone number anymore because they have two-factor via notification. And if it ever becomes an issue again, then I can pay the $10 again. But in my case, I can. I'm going to keep the phone number for emergency use. But you don't have to. You can pay $10, $9 on Ting.com. Set up your second phone, some old phone, and then turn it off. Okay, we're going to talk about email here in a second here. So in the second part of this. So before I go on, I want to talk to you about my sponsor, which is Linode. So Linode has a special. If you use linode.com/Rob Braxman, just like it's spelled over there, you will get a discount you'll get $100 spending money that you can use within 2 months, and that will cut down on your expenditure in Linode. And from in that 2 months, you can learn a lot about Linux, try out servers, and so on. It's basically free. So if you want to learn how to set up a server, you can do that. So that Linode option will become of special interest when I talk to you about my new service in relation to email. And this will be available sometime in October, maybe later in October for this round. And that is, I will have a service that will allow us, my company, to set up a private email server for you on your own Linode account. So you set up your Linode account. You set up one of the small servers in there, which is $5 a month. You give us access to that. We connect to the server. We set up a brand new, completely running email server using a subdomain that we give to you. And then it's your server that you lock us out, and then only you see your email. This is the only safe way, the safest way to do email. It's much safer than doing Proton Mail or anything else. That's actually BS, because there's always somebody that can watch you. On your own server, there's nobody can watch you because it's yours. You own it. So that's a service that we're going to be providing. Don't know yet what the final deal will be on that. I'm projecting that will cost somewhere around $40 a month to have that service. And you can terminate after a year because you pay in years. So if you after the first year want to terminate, you can keep the server. What you will lose if you don't want to keep us running it is you will lose SMTP and you will lose our domain. And then so you have to set up your own DNS and all that. You can do that. And then you get another SMTP provider because we do not provide SMTP on that server. So meaning outgoing. So if you don't want our service, you can terminate at any time, and you can do that. But to set it up will be an annual payment to allow us to set it up. But you don't have to continue it. It doesn't. You can take over, because if you became a Linux expert after the first year, then you can run it yourself. You don't need us. Now, that of course is more complicated because it requires you to run your own server. Some small amount of technology would be required to control the server. We do give you a admin screen so you can administrate it, from a GUI. From a website, so you will be able to do that, but still it's a bit techy. In any case, but that way, by the way, we would do that only on a Linode server. Now, we are going to be offering a different service in addition to setting up an email server, and I created the service because of need. People have come to me over the years and have been asking this. And I've been telling them, what's the best option? And the option is to have your own server. But the problem is, I don't really have the facility of teaching you how to make your own server. It's kind of complicated. I'll be frank with you. It's very complicated. I could probably teach a college course just to set up an email server. It's that complicated. I wish it was so understandable and the instructions were clear. Unfortunately, it's not. It's extremely complicated. And I don't think you can set up a server. I don't even think a week is enough to if you've never done it. It might take you, I don't know, it'll take you over a week for sure, just to even read up on it. And chances are, if you don't have experience, you will be hacked, because email servers are constantly hacked. So to make it simple, I'm going to be offering a service that is different, and that is an email service. You will be able to go to Brax.me, and you'll be able to set up an email account for $50 a year. So for $50 a year, it's our server. It's just regular email. We're not going to be creating a honeypot situation like Proton Mail, where somebody is going to claim end-to-end encryption or whatever. This is not going to be doing that. It's not really about that. But it's a way for you to to get away from big tech. So what happens is, for those of you who have email with Google, Gmail, those of you who have email with Yahoo, with Outlook.com, Microsoft, with iCloud, and so on, what do you think is happening? I mean, this is crazy. You actually are thinking that you have some sort of privacy with your email, which is like ludicrous. It should be clear to you that Google is reading every email you send. I mean, that is no sucking mystery. Okay, Google's reading every email, so is Outlook and Yahoo and so on. That's how they make money, by profiling you. So if you want to be profiled, stick to the same Google. I mean, I can't believe it that people actually don't realize this. I mean, it should be common sense. You use Gmail and they're reading your email, every single one. Well, what makes you think that there's some secret between you and Google? Why would they not read? They're giving it to you for free. Of course they're reading it. Any platform that's giving it to you for free is obviously using it to do the marketing to you. But based on your emails, they say, oh, you mentioned that you looking for a car. Then all these car ads pop because they're using it to get your thoughts. And they can use that for any purpose, including political. And that's, of course, used to change what you see in search engines and all that based on what they read from your email. I'll give you a solid example of this. So I was talking about, what was that? Oh, it was a college. So I put my email address with a college, and so the college, since they're normal junk mail, and they don't, and that's normal stuff that they send every week to update you on what's happening at the college. Then one day I got an email saying, "Congratulations," because of graduation. It was graduation time. So I got this email that had the word graduation, and whoa! Almost instantly after that email, suddenly all of the platforms were showing me, ads on buy this, buy that for graduation, buy car, buy clothes, buy various gifts of sorts for a graduate. And so it should be obvious to you that they're reading the mail, and it was triggered by that mail. So this is not something shocking. So in any case, if that's what you want somebody to be reading everything you're typing in there, if you think there's any kind of privacy, then go ahead and stay on Gmail, and it's free. So if you love that, the fact that it's free, you can go use the free stuff, and be aware that some of you are talking politics on email. I can't believe that, talking politics on email. So Google will love that. Yeah, go talk politics in email. So if you want a little bit of privacy, you need to use an email away from a platform like that. So I'm offering that. Now, I'm not going to tell you end-to-end encryption, any of that, because that's not important here. What I'm going to tell you is a platform that obviously will not sell your data, because we're not Google. We're not collect your data. We're not going to read your email. But one of the biggest tricks that's really, really important is that with this new product I'm going to call Braxmail. Braxmail is the name of the product. Braxmail will not send your IP address when you email. I don't know if you know this, but every time you send an email out, your IP address is on the email as part of the header. That is one of the biggest privacy violations I know of on the email, because they can geolocate you just from the email. So if you don't want to be geolocated every time you send an email to a stranger, then you need a platform that does not put the IP address on the email. So we're going to be providing that. No IP, you don't have to use a VPN, nothing. It's just not going to have an IP address. I've already tested that, that works fine. So no email provided. And I myself am always worried about email. So every time I hit send, and this only applies to sending email, I don't want to send without a VPN. Now you don't have to worry, because if you're using our SMTP server to send outgoing mail, it will never have any kind of IP address. And when you use one of our email accounts that we're going to be offering, you will have access to several domains that are going to be included. So let's say your name is Zach, okay? Then your first account will be zach@braxmail.net. You will also be able to be reached at zach@brax.live, zach@email1.me, brax@bytes.me, zach@braxmobile.com. So you have several, and then we have several more. But those will automatically be available to you, which you can use as an alias. So if a website wants you to give email, you're going to have 5 to 10 choices of domains, and they will go to the same inbox. And all this for $50. They will go to the same inbox. This is $50 a year per inbox. So I'm going to be offering this service. I'm going to plan on firing this up, I'm guessing October 1. So hopefully by next weekend. I hope there are no delays, but if I get delayed, it will just be a few days. But roughly around October 1 or shortly after, you go to BraxMe, and you'll be able to get a new email with multiple domains, without an IP address, without anybody reading your email, and secure communication within the domain. So if anybody is inside the domain, there will be no outside party that can capture that on transport. So all email from Gmail, from Yahoo, whatever, all of that can be captured on transport. What that means is someone, three-letter agency primarily, can intercept the email, and even if it's supposedly encrypted with TLS, they can capture that email and store it, which is what they do. They do this. Don't tell me that the three-letter agency doesn't collect email. I'll be laughing at you. Okay, three-letter agencies have been collecting email since the first days of email in the 90s, late 80s. They were already collecting that. So they're not gonna stop doing that. Every government's collecting email where they can. And they can require the ISP to allow them to collect that email. So do not have any doubt that that's happening. Now, when you're talking intra-domain, meaning inside the same provider of email, like in my case, BraxMail, when you're talking inside the platform, it doesn't go out on the internet. Therefore, it can't be intercepted in any way, because it doesn't go out on the open using what is called MTA to MTA transport. It doesn't talk to another MTA outside of what I control. So since I control everything, everything is encrypted within the areas I control, it doesn't go out. Thank you, James Miller. Thank you. You can do IMAP or POP3. Obviously, because it's more secure, you'd probably stick with IMAP. So anyway, this is going to be an option in about by this time next week, hopefully, if not shortly after that. I don't expect more than maybe 10 days before this is up and running. The infrastructure is already done. You can already go to the store and buy this. It's already, all that part's running. There's just a few things that I'm going to do to it, including spam management, and just housekeeping on the structure of how it works. So I'm going to be doing that, but hopefully I'll get that done in the next few days, and then have several days of testing, and then we go live. And all that infrastructure has already been done. This is a lot of work to get this going, but I think it fulfills a need. And it's not even that expensive. Yahoo, I believe, charges $60 a year. So this is even cheaper than that. So your next cup of coffee. Thank you, Borsu. Thank you very much. So if you are interested in this service, you can still use your Gmail for your spam. I mean, if you're gonna have spam mail, keep it on Gmail. Keep this more for more important communications. The nonsense email can go to Gmail. That's great, because if you don't send out any mail and you only receive email, they're less likely to find anything about you, versus when you send mail or actually have real people contact you. Spam is not important. People can send you spam all day. What about GPS? What about GPS? What is what does email have to do with GPS? In my case, there's no IP address, so you cannot be geolocated since there is no GPS. I can't wait until Braxmail. So Braxmail is a service that will help this channel, obviously, because it'll be a way for this channel to get self-supporting. We obviously don't make big bucks from Google. If you think this channel is supported by Google income, it's uh, Google's AdSense money is not even enough to pay for one employee's salary, FYI. Okay, and I have several employees, so it's not even enough to pay for an employee's salary. So this channel succeeds because of the services that I provide and the fact that you're basically buying it from my company. So this channel is being supported by my company, being supported by you directly. So that's why it's appreciated that you support this channel with your purchases of our products, of our de-Googled phones, our VPN routers, our VPN service, and now Braxmail. So the Braxmail product will be ready, like I said, next week. The server version, setting up servers, although that's already working, because I'm already using it with this Braxmail product, I need to write a manual for it, and that's like writing a book. So because of that, it really is about writing instructions for somebody else to set it up. That's not me. So I got to write instructions on how to set up the infrastructure for the server, with step by step how to do this in an easy way. And one of the ways that we made it easy setting up the Braxmail product is to use our SMTP, meaning you do not have to do SMTP on your end, because that's where all the complications lie. And so we've taken out that complication because that's not really your inbox. So basically the server is only your inbox. So when you're sending, you're using our server to send out, but your inbox is yours. So because of that, we cannot see what's going into your inbox. Only you will see it. This is on the private email server product. So you're going to get a choice. Some of you will say, well, seems to me that the Braxmail service is better because it's $50. But if you have 10 email accounts that you want, you can see that it's cheaper to go to the Braxmail server because the cost will be less than 10 email accounts. And 10 email accounts is $500. And the cost of the server is less than that. So depending on the number of people you have, if you want to have a lot of, if you want to give an email to all of your family and there's 20 of you, one server can handle that since there's no limit. You can set up as many accounts as you want, except that, we may not set it up for you, but initially we'll set up, some of that for you. So if you want us to maintain your server beyond the installation and all that, well, we'll do it on a per incident basis. If we need to get to your server, I think most things can be solved with a $50 per incident charge, which you probably won't need. Most people will not need to do anything unless you change something. This is if you don't want to mess with it. If you want more security, you should at least mess with it to the point of changing the password so we can't get in there. But that's about it. That's the main issue is if you want us to run it, except for the moments when you want to lock it out and you change the password and then we can't get in. And you can change the password right from the panel, so you don't have to. It's not some big technical thing to do that. It's really simple. Okay, I will get all your service when I have money need. Thank you. So anyway, I'm talking about need. Yes, I only did this because there was a need. I've been asked this question, and I feel like I'm failing you because I keep talking about the fact that, Proton Mail and all these are not really good solutions because somebody can read your mail anyway. Proton Mail can read your mail. And so you're paying them all that money thinking that you have some good deal, but in essence, they're recording your IP address. They can't read all of your unencrypted mail, which is 99% of your mail, maybe more, maybe 99.9%. And they're obviously giving your data to whoever asked for it. So, I don't, I can't, I personally cannot see the benefit of a Proton mail. I've never had one. Never had one. So what is more private than Proton mail? Your own server. I mean, absolutely. The next step is, the service, which is not as private as you're having your own server, but at least you can trust us. Do you offer to make any Android phone private? What does that mean? That's why we de-Google the phone. When you de-Google, you take away the identity. By the way, that's something that I keep repeating and people don't seem to understand. You don't need to do anything special to a de-Google phone. The fact it's de-Googled means you're free to do whatever you want. Why is that? Because a de-Google phone has no identity. You've never logged into it. There's no Google account. There's no nothing that can be attached to the phone. The IMEI cannot read by any app. That's not available on Android 10 and above on the de-Google phone. So no app can read your device identifier, and you have no login. So how do you know? If I were Google and I said, I want to track this device, how are they going to do that? They can't get the Google ID. It's not on there. They don't have the IMEI or even the security chip stuff. They can't get into any of that. That's not accessible from an external app, especially a browser. That's not available. The only way to do that is if the Google app is there to give it to them. And there is no Google app to give that information. There's no geolocation app secretly taking location. The only location on a Google phone is whatever you allow in permissions. There's no hidden permission possible because it's not there. So clearly a de-Google phone has nothing. You don't have to do anything to a de-Google phone. It's safe by nature. You don't have to do anything. So waiting till October to join Odyssey with a Braxmail account. Good idea? Not bad. Of course, you can always, Odyssey is not going to, they're not in the spy business, but it's not a bad deal to do that. I would say that's okay. I actually use a Gmail account with Odyssey. A Gmail account that doesn't really do anything. So if you're only going to use for login, Gmail is fine for that. It's a throwaway account. You can use Gmail for throwaway accounts, not to actually receive real email. So, thank you, Justin. Thank you. What will be your response to three-letter agencies when they ask for your user data with the email servers? Well, by law, I have to give them whatever I have, but what do I have? So, one of the things that I'm not going to do is capture IP addresses. I do that on my app BraxMe. I've taken away IP addresses deliberately from the log, so the log does not track IP addresses. So if you go to BraxMe and see, who did what with an IP address, that's actually not available in the log. It doesn't show it. So I did that on purpose. So I will do that here as well. So so you don't have to worry about that part. And again, outgoing does not show your IP address. Please stop using emojis that compete with super chats. I don't know what that means. Okay, just don't back up anything then they can't steal. Is WordPress good to use to get a domain for a blog and e-commerce? Can they cancel you? Anyone can cancel you. So yes, anyone can cancel you. You don't have to rely on WordPress to have a domain. You can go to Linode, set up your own WordPress. That's your WordPress, not WordPress.com, and then you can escape that. Best to use a VPN to hide your real IP location. Yes, agree. You said throw away my Chromebook and I can't, and it's brand new, so what do I do? You do what you want to do. I'm just telling you what you should do. Yes, I agree. You should throw away your Chromebook. And you say, well, I can't. Well, don't give me you can't. You go to eBay, sell it. Somebody will buy it. Sell it. And you can say, I can't afford a new one. Who said you got to get a new one? You can get used computers on eBay, even Amazon, for cheap. You can buy used computers day in, day out. They're very common. So you don't have to pay full price for a computer. It's so easy to get them on eBay and so on. They're fine. Computers from even 4 years ago are fine. How do you mess up on a Google phone? The only way that you can mess up on a Google phone is to install Facebook. That's about it. There isn't much you can do. You can't really mess up on the Google phone. You don't need a brand new one. Exactly. You don't need a brand new computer. And yet the safest computer is the safest device is a computer. Now here's another thing that some of you are asking me. Some of you are asking me, I need a tablet. What tablet do you have? And there's no Google tablet at the moment. So the only choice is to use a Google tablet or a iOS tablet. Well, suck that, because you really have no control over that because you have to log in. So what devices that can you trick into not logging in so you don't have an identity? Well, believe it or not, Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface. Yes, as shipped, a Microsoft Surface has all the zucking spyware. But have a video, and then you follow the video and you can disable all that. Fortunately, Microsoft can be easily configured to remove all the spyware. I use it on my computer and I remove all the spyware on it. And they're fairly black and white, and you got control on a computer. You can control the registry and so on. And you can disable all of that, Cortana and all that nonsense. You can disable all that. They track every click. You disable all that. They have keyboard, whatever. They monitor what you type. You can disable all that. Log in with a Microsoft account. You can disable all that. So you can disable everything on Microsoft Surface, but you do have to configure it. You can't just have it by itself. So that's an example of a tablet that you can use. And some of you are saying, no, I got to get the new iPad from, the new iPad they just announced. If you use an iPad they just announced, there's no escape from Apple. They will spy on you. They will match it to your computer, and there's just no escape. So, to be honest with you, I'm looking at that Apple MacBook Pro M1 because it's great for editing, because the editing would be much faster and it won't be overheating. And, that's kind of important, but I can't do it. It's hard to get a Mac. I have a Mac here, but I don't have any iPhones. And I just hate the fact that I have to go, succumb to being tracked by Apple. I just hate doing that. Cortana cannot be killed. I have no Cortana on any device here. So I don't know what you're saying. There's no Cortana. There's no way to activate Cortana here. So, and that was on my video. I don't have any Cortana. If there's nothing to click on here to even get Cortana. Now they might occasionally put it back here, so I think they put it back once and I managed to get rid of it. So are your VPN and email no IP? Are you VPN and email no IP redundant? What does that mean? Yes, there's no IP on VPN says no IP. VPN has no logs, so therefore there's no IPs anyway. Yeah, this is true of all my products. There's no IP. So still a process. Yeah, but the process is not able to capture anything. By the way, if you want to disable a microphone on a Windows computer, I'll give you a little trick. Plug in a fake, 3 3.5 millimeter device, and just a plug with no connector at the end, it's unconnected, like a dummy plug, it will disconnect the mic. So if you can't disconnect it from BIOS or whatever, you can just plug it in to the earphone jack, and it will disconnect the mic because the mic is part of the earphone. That'll be the electrical disconnect. To use MAC address scrambler, MAC address, it's a very specific threat that you don't need to scramble MAC address normally at your house. You don't need it on normal internet use because you're not your MAC addresses are not really captured outside of your home. It can't go to the internet. A MAC address doesn't travel on the internet. A MAC address is spied on locally, and one of the biggest spies of MAC address is a Facebook on your network. So if somebody has a Facebook app on your network, it will spy on MAC addresses. Now, where is that important? As you will find, that's really irrelevant with computers because your computer is at home. Where it's relevant is your phone. Your phone emits the MAC address on the Wi-Fi adapter for your Wi-Fi. And if you go to Walmart, your phone is emitting that MAC address. If a Facebook spots, there's obviously many people using Facebook that are at Walmart, they will then spot your MAC address and say, oh, Zach is here. Zach, we found Zach's MAC address over there with John, because John was the Facebook user. So we know that Zach is associated with John. But now we know that John's friend Zach goes to Walmart, this particular Walmart, because we captured his MAC address. So that's what that's for. Okay, but MAC address in general doesn't really apply to, who cares about your MAC address on a computer? MAC addresses are not sent as part of IP, Internet Protocol. It's not in there. So a MAC address is a very specific threat for broadcast on mobile devices. It's a fear for mobile device only. Okay, and why is a de-Googled phone important? Because a de-Googled phone cannot see the MAC address. I mean, the apps cannot see. Google can see. On a de-Googled phone, the apps cannot see the MAC address. Google can see the MAC address and use it as a device identifier, which they cannot do on a de-Googled phone. So de-Googled phones. So if you're gonna, I told you about identities at the beginning of this video, so just make that clear again. Things you want to hide: your IP address, your email, and your phone number. Okay, so we already talked about the phone number. Get a second phone with temporary number. Thank you, Sid. Thank you. And then next one is to hide your email address by using an email address on different platforms. That's not what you normally give to your friends. So your friends and family have an email address, but you do not use that on a platform as a login. That way they can't match it. Okay, so I just want to make that clear. Use an email address that is not known to your friends for your logins. And that's why I'm offering email service, because that's important. Just do that segregation. So the way I would do it is put my important email on Braxmail and put all my unimportant email for login on Gmail. It's actually the reverse. Put the important stuff on Braxmail, put the unimportant things on Gmail. So Gmail will be used for logging into Twitter, logging into hopefully not Facebook, but logging into anything Google, then use Gmail. And then thirdly, the phone number. Of course, the trick is to have another phone or use Google Voice for the non-Google account. So those three are identifiers that you need to keep an eye on. And obviously, kind of like common sense, don't use your full name. It's not really that risky to use a first name. It really, it's a full name. Do not use your birth date. In fact, birth date alone with a year can identify a population. For example, in the US, on any given day, 10,000 babies are born, meaning there will be 10,000 people with the same birth date out of a population of 330 million people, only 10,000 of you have the same birth date. So let's say I narrow that down. First name and birth date. Same exact birth date, same first name. Oh, that'll be narrowed down very, very quickly. What if I narrow it down to first name, birth date, time zone? Oh, you're zucked. Trust me, you are zucked. They may be, you may be down to 10 people. So just so you know this, I mean, this is something, anybody doing medical systems, we know this, the population of people with the same name, the chances of having the same name and birth date are just about nil. It's almost an impossibility to have the same name and same birth date. That is so extremely rare. So that alone is an ID, name and birth date. I mean, full birth date with year. Okay? So that's enough to really, really identify you. So if you're using a first name and birth date, you're done. You're done. So you do not put your real birth date. Never. Never. They just want to know if you're over 18, then, give them a year, something. Make yourself younger too. So all traffic, I never use Twitter. Well, it's actually Twitter can be used because you can use Twitter in a way that doesn't identify you, which is what can be useful with Twitter. Any tips on protecting against screen recording malware for phones? Yeah, you control the apps, so make sure you don't have any apps running that you didn't put on there. When you reset a phone, and then you make sure there are no apps there that you didn't put in. So I have a long history installing ASP ROMs on phones. Does it matter which phone hardware I choose to do this to? No, not really. No. I de-Google any kind of phones. So, and the thing about me too is I never stick to the same phone. So I use a phone for a little bit, then I change phones. So I don't need to worry about this. Like IMEIs and IMSIs and all that. The IMSI is the SIM card, but that doesn't matter because I keep changing phone numbers. But the IMEI itself changes, and I just switch it over to a different phone, and the carrier gets a different IMEI, and they don't really complain. What's your take on Courier pigeons? Well, you got to feed them, and they poop. I'm very familiar with birds because my boat, I got bird poop on my boat all the time. So that's not good. I want out of iCloud. You really need to be out of iCloud. Why? Some of you, again, I want to make it clear. It is okay to use Gmail for nonsense. If you use Gmail for logins to throw away accounts, you make a Gmail like this. rob-youtube@gmail.com. rob-youtube-99999 rob-twitter. You can make all those different email addresses, and as long as you don't actually use them, they're just to identify you, then they're not going to be useful for profiling. So don't actually receive real email on there, with your friends and whatever. So especially if it has your real name, do that elsewhere. I still suggest that you do not use your real name, but of course, if you deal with governments and so on, they will have your real name on the email message itself. So you might as well have one dedicated for that, so that it doesn't get mixed up. How can I fake? Not gonna tell you what to fake. Australian surveillance bill. What's your? I mean, I don't know. What is with Australia? For one thing, I can't even deliver a phone to Australia. They stop accepting deliveries. So what? Everyone quit because of COVID in Australia? Is that what happened? Everyone quit. They had no COVID in Australia for a long time, and now nobody can move anymore. And now, and they've always been, you go into the border in Australia and they will open up your phone and check you out and see what's on there in social media. It's crazy. Uh, Safing Portmaster, what the heck is that? You're ashamed of your country. They want to be number one at surveillance. I mean, they're really proud of it. I don't know who leads this. Is this a bilateral thing, or is this more with the left, more with the right? In the past, it's been more with the right. In the U.S., it's more with the left. I don't know. It used to be more with the right. This is why I don't believe in politics, guys. People change sides depending on who's speaking. Surveillance used to be a thing that was desired by the right. Now surveillance is a thing desired by the left. I don't get it. That's why I don't believe in God. It's just... So don't ask me for a political opinion, because I think everyone's zucked up. It's whatever's convenient for them. Whatever's convenient. I have a very consistent thing. I don't want to be spied on. If I'm not doing criminal behavior, you have no right to mess with my life. If I'm a criminal, then you have the right. That's my belief. If I'm a criminal, you can do whatever you want. But if I'm not a criminal, then why are you messing? What are you doing with mass surveillance? Why are you doing with mass spying? Apparently in Australia they can just spy on your phones directly. This is kind of crazy with you. I mean, they're ahead of the game here, that they can actually spy on people's phones directly. So yeah, get a de-Google phone. They'll probably offer you some protection. Will I offer a chat service? I already have that. It's free. It's xmpp.brax.live. It's a free server. Go use an app like Conversations on Android, which is pre-installed in the Google phones. Go use on the PC, use an app called Gajim. I don't know what the Mac app is for XMPP or the iOS app. There is one. So if you find out what app you'd like to use on a Mac or iOS, and you communicate using XMPP, and you will get end-to-end encrypted chat with no metadata. And of course, you can talk on BraxMe. That's my platform already, and you can chat there all you want. But the XMPP is for the moments when you want to be doing end-to-end encryption. So if you want to do end-to-end encryption, I don't trust anything else. So Signal has limitations. Telegram has flaws. XMPP doesn't have any. So XMPP. So, or for no identity, BraxMe. Come to my app, BraxMe. BraxMe, I don't promote my app much, except it's a store. But my app is actually a very safe platform because it has no identity. I don't require you to identify yourself. You're not required to put a phone number, email, whatever. What you could do is, when you have my email service, you can actually use that email as your identity, and then, and if you pay by some other means other than PayPal, then you're actually pretty immune. Because what would I know? I wouldn't even know anything. So I to be honest, PayPal is easier, so just stick with PayPal. But I mean, if you want to be super paranoid, then yes, you don't have to use PayPal. Can send a phone to be de-Googled? Yes, but you have to go to BraxMe and find out which phones we can do that to, because it's not every phone. So we have a list. We can do practically all the Pixels, and up to Pixel 5, Pixel 3 to Pixel 5, 3A, 3A XL, 3A, 3XL, 4A, 4A, 5G, 5. We can do all those. We can do Moto G7s of various flavors. We can do OnePlus 6. We can do an occasional OnePlus 7, but sometimes you can't unlock them without talking to the carrier, so that they're kind of a pain. So I'd rather not take any OnePlus 7s. Beyond that, if you send us a pixel, you have to make sure they can be OEM unlocked. Otherwise, we may not be able to do anything to it. Since when are restaurants HIPAA compliant? How can they check medical records? Yeah, stupid. Well, New York, they want to do that. Oh, I went to went out to have dinner, and at the restaurant, this is California, so you got to wear a mask, right? So from the doorway of the restaurant to your seat, you have to wear a mask, which could be 5 feet. Okay, so within that 5 or 10 feet or however far it is to sit at a table, I have to wear a mask. Okay, it's a stupid rule, but I don't argue. I follow that. Okay, fine. Now they have a new rule today. They said you gotta keep your mask on until you get your drink. Like, fuck you. So I'm already sitting at a table and I have to sit there with my mask on. I can't even converse because I gotta have my mask on. I'm already seated at the table. Who the fuck am I gonna infect? Oh, it's like, it's like, I don't know, this is a control thing. I mean, people are just going hog wild with this. Hog wild. I mean, it's just, there's no practicality to some of this. And people apparently love it because, our governor was not recalled. So apparently they like this. They like this. So, okay, that's what you like. I guess I got to follow the rule. Because you don't want to change your elected officials. This is apparently the way you want it. So, okay, then fine. Then, it's your choice. So, can I send a note? No, do not send me a note, 20. No, do not send me any Samsungs. I will not try it. No. I don't have time to go figure that out. You cannot de-Google a Samsung. It's in my instructions on Brax.me. Go to Brax.me and find out. By the way, some of you have said that they couldn't log into Brax.me for the last few months, and they didn't understand why. I am so sorry. I did not realize that the browser did not work on a mobile. I did not know that. You can download the app, yes, but if you don't download the app, there was actually no way to run Brax.me from mobile on a browser. I fixed that tonight, so now you can do it. So sorry about that. I actually didn't know. So, so are blockchain phones good? No. Here's the problem with just why do you think blockchains give you security? Blockchain has nothing to do with security. In case you didn't understand, blockchains are immutable, can never be changed forever. Mathematically, you can't change them. Okay, because they're approved with a hash. So many platforms that do capturing of data via the blockchain, like a matrix, it's really bad because it's immutable. You're actually keeping a permanent record. Why would you want that? The whole point is to not have an identity. Why would you want an identity associated with, how many times you've posted and somebody knows how many posts you've made and what your identity is? Why would you want that? So that's crazy. Okay, so don't correlate blockchain with that. Blockchain is used for cryptocurrency because you don't have to identify yourself when you make to the bank or to any financial institution when you make a purchase. Okay, that's fine. Use it for buying and selling goods. That's fine. But don't go beyond that and say, I'm going to use it for messaging, because why are you using blockchain for that? Why are you trying to make a message permanent? There are actual websites that they're doing that where they say, well, whatever you post on here will be part of the blockchain, kind of like a blogging site on blockchain. And Yeah, I guess there's an advantage to that if you want censor free, because you cannot censor a blockchain. I got that. Okay, but not only can they not censor it, they know who you are and will forever know whatever you posted in the blockchain. So no, not for me. Okay, I'm pretty much almost out of time here. So anyway, join us on Brax.me. Brax.me is my little platform. I haven't really been promoting it because you know I don't need to. It's but that's where my store is. That's where we're going to be hosting emails. That's where we host a VPN. That's where you purchase products from me. It's on Brax.me, and Brax.me has close to it's around 60,000 people on there. So it's it's fairly busy. I mean, many of those people only came in the last year, so that's it's really busy. There's a lot of traffic and a lot of people talking, and you don't have to identify yourself. But I mean, be nice, guys. And some of you are arguing with me about shipment and all that. And after arguing for multiple messages about something, and then you don't even tell me your name. I don't even need to know the name of the shipment. So just take it in context, guys. I'm not going to go cheat you. I'm definitely not going to steal your money because, I'm going to tell you right off the bat here. I've sold many thousands of phones. Thousands of phones. Okay? Many thousands. So if I'm cheating you, I think that out of the many thousands, they would be hounding me here on the live stream. Obviously, those many thousands are happy with their phone. The ones who are not returned the phone and got a refund, which is very small number. So it's a money back guarantee. If you don't like the phone, you don't like us, get your money back, no problem. I don't like unhappy customers. So when you're dealing with me, you don't have to worry. Somebody complained because they bought a phone from me and said, I don't know if you stole my money because I didn't get a tracking. Yeah, today was a very special day. The post office online system, stamps.com, was not working today. We couldn't buy stamps. So we couldn't ship. Our shipping system wouldn't work because the post office was down. Fortunately, it went back up after 5 p.m., so we can't ship it at post office anymore. But they were after 5 p.m. We were able to do it, so we'll drop it off tomorrow. So it'll be okay. Then you'll get your tracking tomorrow. So please, guys, I'm on YouTube here. I can't cheat you. I mean, you'd put a comment on here that this guy's a cheater. That I would have no escape from that. So I think that it's safe to say that I have happy customers, or they would have got their money back. So nobody is ever tricked to do anything. You're either happy or you get your money back. Nobody is so nobody remains unhappy. Okay, and obviously, most of those products didn't come back to me. That thousands and thousands. So, moderators can't get a high, please. What? Clean business and be patient. Thank you, Grey Gold. So you're a happy customer. Yeah, most of you. Well, you already know. I mean, you got my products. You got VPNs, Brax routers, phones, and now email service. You can trust me because I'm a real face. I'm not some big conglomerate. We're just a small company, and doing well because we are delivering products that you ask for. So by knowing what you want, that's what we're giving. We're not. I want to make this clear. We're a privacy company. We're doing privacy things. We're not a security company. Although we can do that. The need is a much more specific thing. We are a uniquely privacy-focused company, which relates a lot to identity. So that is our focus with a lot of the products we sell and all the services we do. is to keep somebody from getting your identity. So, it's a very specific business with a very specific market, and that's why it's pretty hard to compete with us because nobody does what we do. Nobody. So we don't have to be a big company. We're just focused on helping you and making happy customers. So anyway, go join our app, Brax.me, and then there's a discussion group on the email service. If you're interested, you go in there and there's a chat group talking about it, and you can go join the conversation, and then you'll get an update. But I think the timing is approximately next week. By next weekend, the email service will be up. So somewhere around next weekend, the email service will be up. The email server business may be 3 weeks away, or I don't know exactly because I got to write a lot of manuals. Okay, it's more about a lot of thinking about the packaging and the marketing and all that, but that's very doable. Okay, again, to summarize, the Brax mail server is we run the server service for you. You put in you go into the store on Brax.me, you pay for it, and then you get access to your email settings. You put in your name and your password and put it into your email client, whatever the credentials are that were given to you, and that's it. And then you can start using it. And you have access to multiple domains, 5 main domains and several other subdomains. And then you can start using any of those. They will go to one inbox, and that's no IP address tracking and no IP sent with your email on the send. When you send email, it will not reveal your IP address. And that will be a service for $50 a month with no big tech reading your email. Okay, so that's product number one. Product number two, which comes later, is when we install a server for you on Linode. And this is only on Linode. So if you get a Linode server, $5 a month server, we will install it on that $5 a month server. Okay, and then if you want to make sure you're safe, you change the password. And then, in which case, then we can't log in there anymore. I mean, we'll not log in there in any case, but if you want to be certain we don't log in, you go change the password. So anyway, what else here? We're 50 USD a month. Gosh, what is that? Is that a bad thing? You want to go to Yahoo? It's $60 a month at Yahoo. Can we make the mail auto replace contact me? Can make the email auto replace contact me or on Brax? Can we make the email auto replace? You can't do that on a server that's not yours, but on a server you own, you can do that. Have you seen the Framework laptop? I've seen Linus Tech Tips show it. So it's interesting. It's configurable. Yeah, I'm in the market for a laptop. I'm looking at different laptops right now. I buy a laptop every year. So yeah, every year I have a new laptop. So I've been doing that. Gosh. So I can't even count how many years. So if you just, for example, if I've been doing when did laptops come into play? I think laptops came in the 90s, right? So if laptops were available since, let's say, the 90s, that would mean I would have 30 some laptops easily. Yes, I do. $50 a year, not per month. Email server is $40 a month, maybe. Not a final price yet. Email server is $40 a month. Email service, one account, one inbox, is $50 a year. Aside from that, there are not much limitations. Okay? So, okay guys, so that's right, $50 a year for the email service. Okay, and then you get rid of the spying. Okay, so if you don't want to be spied on, it's very simple. The only way you get not spied on is to pay for it. Okay, thank you guys. I'm out of time, so I have a gig tomorrow morning, so I got to go sleep because I got to wake up early and do a gig. Maybe I'll do a video on the music channel. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Go watch my last video. Thank you. Bye-bye.